David Austin Senior, which is where he used to live and work. His wife actually designed the David Austin logo from this house. So
here's the logo
this
here.
is where it
Wow.
comes from. And you'll see a lot of the statues that Mrs. Austin designed. We've got the caption near the door, a horse's head, and some of them have deteriorated over time. But this garden has been open on weekends throughout the summer. People do need to book to come. This is why we've had the fencing put in.
Yeah.
But you can see the grass has taken a fair few footsteps over the summer. So.
Sure.
We'll need to
But now you've mentioned this with this logo here.
Yeah.
It's
is.
so obvious, isn't it?
It's the house, isn't it?
It's the house. So
and this is what it was all based on.
Wow.
These have been planted since Mr. A's had the house.
So how long did he actually reside here? When did he?
I think in the 50s. It might have even been slightly before.
So he designed and planted all of this himself, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was into garden design?
Not so much. No, I don't think garden design. He was very interested in. They came from a family of pig farmers, and he obviously took an interest in breeding of roses.
Yeah.
And that was his. He was just playing about with it, really.
Yeah.
But I think both him and Mrs. Austin loved gardening, so this is what they created.
Howdy, I'm Brian Wagner from Wagner's Rose Nursery, and we're here at David Austin Roses, and these are the trial gardens here, where they're assessing a lot of some of the older material actually in the spot. And this is Daniel, rose breeder from David Austin's. How are you going, Daniel?
I'm very good, Brian. It's fantastic to have you over here in the UK. Look at the roses. Yeah, it's great you could come over.
And this has just been a wonderful experience to date. This is a lot of fun for us. We've just been at some of the trial areas and looking at and assessing some of the newer varieties, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great to be able to show you it as well, because I'm very keen as a rose breeder to understand how our roses perform across the world. So it's great to talk to you and get your insight how the roses grow down under, because there's a few miles between us and you, isn't there?
Yeah.
But it's great that we can have that too. That's a maiden block.
Yeah.
So those are maidens.
So when you say maidens are yearlings, like first season?
Yeah, they were budded last summer, and this is their first year of growth. So that's the year behind that first block. So next year we'll go through that and we'll do the selection through that block to then take the 150 varieties out there into the singles blocks. And so through here is singles blocks. So we'll go in here and look.
A huge amount of work that goes into when you keep coming back and thinking, we're doing all this to get 2 or 3, 4 varieties.
You are.
You know?
Yeah. In every year group, you might only get 1 or 2 varieties which actually make it, but we'll be looking at hundreds of varieties to get down to that one, and looking at each rose multiple times, gathering as much information as possible. So, there's a lot to do. So through here we've got the different singles blocks. So you've got from 2017 all the way through to 2024. So there's 7 or 8 year blocks in there, and we'll come through here 4, 5, 6, 7 times through that summer period from June through to September to do all the assessments, whether we're looking at disease, how well the flower's forming, the vigour of a plant, all those characteristics, sort of their habit, etc., fragrance, to really make sure that the rose is as good as we think it is.
So when you're saying you're coming through here 6 or 7 times a year during the summer period, so you'd be spending days and days in that period, right? So you'd be looking at every single variety and recording all of that. Yeah.
So, and there's multiple plants in here as well. So we've not just got 1 plant per variety. We've got a minimum of 4 plants. Because again, if you've got a weak plant, is it soil? Is it some other issue? You see what I mean? So you're making sure that you actually see consistency across multiple plants as well. Otherwise,
you could be scrapping something that all of a sudden it's like, hang on, this is actually a good rose.
If 3 plants out of 4 look great, fantastic. If 1 looks bad, well, is that variety issue or is that a growing issue? Obviously, you want all 4 to be performing. If all 4 perform, fantastic. You've got a great variety you can take forward, really. But yeah, it's a lot to look at.
Daniel, can you just tell us what makes David Austin Rose so special?
Yeah, I think David Austin Rose is what Mr. A, as we call him, you know, what he said about doing 60 years ago was combining that charm of the old rose with that repeat flowering, you know, modern quality of disease resistance. And that's still the main aim for what we're doing now. It's that beauty and charm and fragrance which really makes the David Austin Rose stand out. We have lots of different forms, from those fully doubles to the semi-doubles and singles. So there's a place for all of those within the David Austin range. But it's that beauty and charm, freshness of colour, purity of colour, fragrance, which is so important for David Austin Roses.
Yeah, I've been growing. We've been growing Austin Roses for the last 40 years, and that was definitely something that stood out in the very early days.
Yeah.
You know, we're getting the best of old world sort of charm, sort of varieties.
Yeah, I think let's make sure that we you know, keep that unique character for the David Austin Roses. For us, it's important. How does a rose grow? It's got to have that shrubby feel and look. You know, what does the foliage look like? Has it got that nice, you know, matte, you know, old rose foliage as well? It's just as important as making sure the flower is as great as well. So there's a lot of different factors to think about there.
Yeah. Can you tell me, like, has the breeding program over the years changed in any way?
Well, for some elements, it's the same that we're looking at, that beauty and form and fragrance. But actually, there's other aspects in there that we've always got to keep on top of, and that's things like disease resistance. You know, very much has been a change within the rose industry probably in the last 20, 30 years in removal of fungicides. There's less fungicides growers can use, and also everybody's much more environmentally conscious. So actually, it's testing those roses to make sure they are as best as possible. That evolution in the breeding program, I think, has become ever more important, I think.
Yeah. And that's something like we're seeing where Austins are wanting to drop a lot of the older varieties, and that's for that very reason, is that the new stuff that we're now seeing is just so much cleaner than the first block of Austins that came out.
Yeah, and varieties will degrade over time, so diseases will mutate. So the black spot 20, 30 years ago is a different black spot than we see today. So actually, how the roses react to those will be different. So we test those roses really here as well, as you see behind us, to see how they're performing. And if they're not good enough, we do make that tough decision, but to say, look, guys, telling us they aren't great roses anymore, buy a better rose, because actually you get a much better garden plant, a much better enjoyment and experience of having a rose that's going to be disease resistant and has all that beauty and charm and fragrance that we want.
How big an emphasis is the perfume fragrance in a rose that you're breeding these days?
It's really important fragrance. You know, we know how much the customers love the fragrance and how, you know, it really just brings those memories back from childhood, etc. And so it's really important, and I think it's something we always have to keep in the forefront of our minds when breeding. Breeding for fragrance is difficult. We talked about it being, difficult to maintain within the breeding program. So, you know, it's something we have to be very conscious to make sure we're looking at and make sure it's there within the roses. It's one of those factors.